this website if you've never tried it. Removepaywall.com. It just automates the archive.org of a lot of paywalled articles. So do with that information what you will. The Democratic Convention party scene is taking shape. John Legend is set to headline one of the week's biggest events so far, a bash by Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. But despite speculation, there's no sign yet of Beyoncé or Taylor Swift in Chicago. Don't you love this? This is from the New York Times. You know, not that you expect anything from the New York Times except for just complete shill propaganda, but it's just so funny. You know, in these circles, they're all super duper excited about the idea that, you know, it's going to be a massive party. All the it people are there. All the people who are on, you know, the blue side, which is most of Hollywood and, you know, the music industry. And so let's just get into it a little bit. I'll skim this. The venues are booked, the stars are ready, and the talent mostly secured. But a big hole in the schedule of after parties at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on the final night has prompted a burning question. Could Beyoncé or Taylor Swift show up? Nothing about policy so far, this whole convention. Nothing about, like, what are we going to deliver for the American people, truly? What are our specific policies? Just, we're for good things, we're against bad things, diversity, and maybe Beyonce and Taylor Swift are going to be there. We know John Legend's going to be there. Don't you want to come see John Legend? Look at all these parties. All the cool people from Hollywood are going to be there. We're on the right side. Vote for us. Neither has indicated that they might, and their representatives have remained mum. But that hasn't stopped eager Democrats from speculating and praying. After all, Beyoncé performed at an event for former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in 2016 and allowed Vice President Kamala Harris to use her song Freedom as a campaign anthem. Miss Swift endorsed President Biden in 2020. Democracy is at stake. Oh, democracy, reads an online petition from the liberal group MoveOn.org, appealing to both singers to appear together. It's the only way that they can hope to, you know, essentially it's like conning young people who don't know better and aren't super engaged by politics because they see that politicians don't deliver shit for them, is to sucker them in with these idols that, you know, I don't think should be worshipped by these young people, but essentially are worshipped by these young people. Like, they're going to be there. Don't you want to tune in? Don't you want to come? Whereas, you know, in the past it was, I really support this candidate because they, you know, represent my ideals, my values, and I really truly believe that they're going to deliver on those ideals and values. Therefore, I'm going to show up and support them. I want to let it be known that I support this candidate. Now it's just, hey, look, we got Meg Thee Stallion. Hey, Beyonce and Taylor Swift might be there. Don't you want to come? It's just, it's like a popularity contest at this point, and it's just disgusting how far we've fallen from actually what politics should be. Here we go. Democratic conventions have long prided themselves on their star-studded guest rosters, which routinely outshine the Republican conventions. Ooh, they got more celebrities to show up. The Milwaukee gathering that anointed former President Donald J. Trump in July included the country star Jason Aldean, right-wing rapper Kid Rock, and the wrestling icon Hulk Hogan. Lee Greenwood performed his God Bless the USA for the former president, who has adopted it as the song of his movement. But the Democratic entertainment lineup next week is sure to be deeper and more diverse. I have no fucking words. We have encouraged our members to use the superpower of the entertainment industry to bring attention to issues that are important to the nation's social welfare, said Robin Bronk, chief executive of the Creative Coalition, the nonprofit advocacy arm of Hollywood. Creative Coalition is sponsoring what it hopes will be a contender for Biggest and Best Party of the Week, a multi-act concert co-hosted by actress Octavia Spencer on Wednesday, the second to last night of the convention. Here's what to expect as the party scene takes shape. On Sunday, the comedic news team of The Daily Show will be near Wrigley Field promoting dog adoptions as Cubs fans head to an afternoon home game in the friendly confines with the Toronto Blue Jays. The host, Jon Stewart, is not likely to be on hand, but he is scheduled to helm the show from Chicago's Athenaeum Center on Thursday. You know, who can argue with some dog adoptions? That's good. Go adopt a dog if you can. Monday night will feature an equality pack party. I bet, just wait, going back, I bet Jon Stewart's not going to show up because he doesn't want to be too closely associated with the Dem Party. He wants to, even though he's definitely leans more on the side of the Democrats, which he's always been left, and that's not the issue. It's just that he tries to keep this air of impartiality and that he goes after both sides, while he definitely favors the Dem side, and he really wants to stay in the good graces of a lot of the shitlib Hollywood. Like when he came out on Colbert's show and talked about the spreadable contagion, if you catch my drift, from a couple years ago, and talked about the origin of it and kind of said the most logical thing that most people were thinking at that point. He got so much shit for it that he immediately kind of fell in line right afterwards, and it was really, really sad to see. Because I grew up watching Jon Stewart. He informed a lot of my politics back in the day. Like, I've never been conservative or right wing, but I was always more inclined, because of who I watched, to, call out who I thought represented me, the left so-called party, the Democrats, and call them out on their bullshit too. And then when I realized that they were just literally no better than the Republicans, and in certain ways worse, especially now, like being authoritarian and, being the party of the CIA and the deep state, then I was like, wow, okay. I'm not saying the Republicans are good at all, but I can't even support on a small level the Democrats anymore. It's just one big uniparty now. It's like two heads of the same hydra, and they're both going to eat you. So what's the point of supporting that? Moving on. Monday night will feature an equality pack party in the LGBTQ neighborhood of Boys Town, with performers who were unlikely to get bookings at the RNC. Stars of RuPaul's Drag Race, Chad Michaels, Silky Nutmeg Ganache. Is that a person? What the fuck is that? Is that a group? Silky Nutmeg Ganache. I don't even want to search that. God forbid. And Jackie Cox. I don't know who that is either. I don't know who any of these people are. I've heard of RuPaul's Drag Race. I know who RuPaul is. Drag queen. Okay. Leaning all into the wrapping yourselves in the virtue of the rainbow flag, even though, Democrats, barring one or two issues, I'm not going to say that they're no better than the Republicans. I'm not going to sing their praises and act like these people aren't just completely using it in a cynical way. I guess at the end of the day, whatever gets the policy passed, but they use it as a shield. There's if you haven't seen it, there's a meme, and it is perfectly encapsulating of the Democrats in a nutshell. And it's Republicans, and it shows them dropping bombs overseas, and then it's the Democrats, and it's the exact same picture, but the plane dropping the bombs just has a rainbow flag on it. So they always like to wrap themselves in the virtue of the rainbow flag, and it's just cringe every time. Not far away, House of Blues, Daily Show alum Roy Wood Jr. will host what has been billed as a tipping point states party with musicians from Wisconsin, and at Prism, a Chicago nightclub. The Georgia Democratic Party is holding a DJ party with Atlanta rapper Lil Jon. Lil Jon? Really? He's on board with this? God damn it. On Tuesday, the first big splash the first big splash comes from J.B. Pritzker, the billionaire with a B governor of Illinois, who, along with his wife, M.K. Pritzker, what's with them, like, lettering their first. He wasn't named J.B., right? What the fuck is this? J. Robert. J.B. Wouldn't it be J.R.? Where the fuck did J.B. come from? 3.5 billion US dollars. Look at, I mean, dude's got enough money to eat well, that's for sure. Damn, but where does JB come from? Where the fuck does it's J Robert. Okay, maybe I just am missing something, but why now MK? She's like, wow, JB sounds cool, I'm gonna be MK. What's her real name? What is her real name? JB and MK Pritzker are A-OK with initials FYI. Hee. Aren't I clever? Yes, billionaire would-be governor JB Pritzker's wife would be Illinois governor, so this was written before he won. Wife is really called MK. Friends joke that we should call our kids A, B, and C. Ha 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 ha. MK, short for Mary Catherine, went by MK long before she met JB. J Bob. Oh, I didn't even make that connection because Robert Bob. That's dumb as fuck. I'm sorry. That's so dumb. What the hell? Anyways, that was a tangent, but Jesus Christ, this is all just giga cringe, turbo cringe. Mr. Pritzker procured the Salt Shed, a converted Morton salt factory on the Chicago River and one of the city's premier concert venues. The headliner, the singer-songwriter and Democrat activist John Legend. Ugh. Gross. Gross. That dude is super duper, just full of shit. And so is his, are they still married? His wife? She's a piece of work too. Just total elitists, out of touch, but they want to virtue signal and tell everyone essentially how to think and live their own lives because they're just so much smarter and better than everyone else. On Wednesday, the Creative Coalition, Giffords, a gun safety group founded by former Representative Gabby Giffords, he's the one that got shot in the face, Reproductive Freedom for All, and In Citizens United, are talking up what they hope to be the concert of the week, promoting three huge issues for the Democratic coalition: abortion rights, gun control, and voting rights. The headliners of the newly renovated Ramova Theater in the working-class Bridgeport neighborhood will be Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Oh, God. I mean, they do have, like, a stranglehold on Hollywood and the music industry, because a lot of these people are, like, left, which is totally fine, and I'm on the left. The problem is they don't know shit about fuck, and, they're rich and out of touch, so they just think Democrat Party is the left party, gotta support them, and they don't look into it at all. You rarely have people who are above the fray completely out of that, group, Hollywood and the music industry. Perfect example. Roger Waters. That dude is a legend. He actually knows and, like, looks at policy, looks at issues, actually knows what the hell he's talking about, is on the left, but could tell you why, and can tell you why the Democratic Party and, like, he's not American, but he follows U.S. politics, he follows world politics. He can tell you why these are corrupt institutions. Most of them completely the opposite. They're just like, I'm on the left, but I don't know anything, but this party, has the rainbow flag in their bio, so they got to be the good guys. You know, I'm Team Blue. I don't want to continue about, you know, who wrote this. Jonathan Weissman. Who the hell is this guy? He's just like, hey, we have the best party, guys. We have the best party. Aren't we cool? Young voters, please come out and vote for us. Jonathan Weissman. There he is. Oh, you add an extra S to his name and you get the co-founder of Innovative Genomics Institute, because that doesn't sound like an evil villain made that. Jonathan Weissman, deputy Washington editor of the New York Times and author of the novel Number 4, Imperial Lane. Check out his Twitter. Or X, formerly Twitter. Democratic officials have been wooing uncommitted delegates, trying to head off disruptions inside the United Center at next week's convention. But the uncommitted delegates have demands that have yet to be met, and they say their voices will be heard. I mean, good for them. Like, exert pressure on this shitty party. Don't just fall in line like everyone else. I'm just trying to get a view of this guy's posts, and, you know, if he's a complete hack, which he probably is, but, you know, certain ones are bigger than others. Like what was that dude that I was just looking at last night? Oh, damn, I know his last name was Goodstein, and Richard Goodstein. Yeah, that dude. I just saw a post that Kamala HQ on Twitter was, you know, posting, and it was him in his stupid thick frame black glasses, because that's like the thing to do for shitlibs nowadays. It's like the in thing for commentators in, you know, the Democrat operative area of media, like the MSNBCs and the CNNs of the world. And it's just, it looks so dumb. These people think that they like have new fashion trend, and maybe in their New York bubble, it's like it lands with everyone. Oh my God, those are cool new glasses. But I don't know, to me, maybe it's my West Coast nature. It looks so stupid. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, shit. Here we go. Accidentally F11'd. God damn, I can't type. That just flustered me. Richard Goodstein. The latest. June 14th. I swear to God, I saw Kamala HQ just post. Oh, well, here's my tweet.
Furman sounds like his version of when they would say that Trump was joking about saying Russia, you know, hack Hillary's emails. Whenever Trump would say something absolutely stupid that he'd...
You know, this dude is like unbelievable hack. So I immediately remembered him when I saw this on Twitter. I was like, oh my God. It was ages ago, it seems like, but Jimmy Dore did a video where he, like, this guy, Richard Goodstein, came on to Rising with Sauger, and I think Ryan Grimm was on the panel as well. But they both, you know, credit to them, they took him to task, but it's not really hard because the dude was literally like on his knees, bowing down to Hillary, trying to make every excuse in the book for her while slandering Sanders voters at the time, you know, trying to claim that he didn't do enough to support Hillary, and, you know, that's why she lost, and it's total running cover for the Dems. So I'm just trying to get a picture of this dude, Jonathan Weissman. Seems like he's pretty concerned with all of the famous people that don't know anything about anything except for how to maybe make decent music and act, but then they think that their opinions on everything need to be heard, even though they're some of the least informed on the political issues, and then like to virtue signal and be condescending to regular voters and tell them that if they don't think the way that they do, their opinions are invalid. It's just pretty gross. So, also in line, Democrats invite public to off-site Dempalooza convention events in Chicago. Vice President Kamala Harris aims to share the campaign trail vibes with the public in Chicago next week with free manicures, friendship bracelet making, and campaign training in the city's convention center. Yes, you heard that right, everyone. You get a free manicure, and we can make friendship bracelets. The daytime programming, dubbed Dempalooza by party bosses, will take place at the McCormick Place Convention Center, about 5 miles from the United Center, where more than 4,000 credentialed delegates will gather Monday through Thursday for nightly televised celebrations of their presidential ticket. No credential is required to pass through the security perimeter at the convention center, party officials said. It's a party, and everyone is invited, said Roger Lau, deputy executive director of the Democratic National Committee. Just on the DNC itself, like, we'll go back to that article, but look at this. It's just... It's supposed to be a convention where democracy, quote unquote, since they love to use that word, is heard and the actual voters are able to pick essentially or like exert their pressure on what candidate they want to be, you know, our nominee for the Democratic Party. I shouldn't say our because I'm not a Democrat, but you know what I mean? The nominee for the Democratic Party. And yet she hasn't received a single vote in a primary. She had to drop out after Tulsi Gabbard absolutely fucking nuked her campaign on the campaign trail back in 2019 because she's super unlikable. She got in just because there was a lot of pressure behind the scenes for Biden to pick her, and then they forced Biden out. And so it was all some like backroom shenanigans, a lot of like smoke-filled dealing, you know, behind the scenes stuff that got her into one of the highest offices in the entire world in the first place. She never got a vote from a person. She wasn't on the ballot. She was so disliked that she had to quit and didn't get a vote in her own state. And yet they're essentially anointing her. And it's just funny because there's no talk at the DNC, which is supposed to be this area where, you know, the candidates battle it out. And through this process, we pick the strongest, most battle-tested candidate, and then you put that one up against the Republicans so that you have the best chance of winning. No, she's just basically been coronated. Like, look at this. Let's read this. At the 2024 Democratic National Convention, delegates from all 50 states and U.S. territories will convene in Chicago. Democrats will rally around Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, our Democratic nominees for president and vice president. She hasn't technically been nominated by the delegates, but the reason that they're saying this is because, again, with no will of the voters involved, she was able, behind the scenes, within 24 hours, remind you, to secure all of the delegates that were previously Biden delegates for her. Now, if that's not one of the most anti-democratic things that you've ever heard, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. But the party that loves to, you know, just fall over themselves about how we need to save democracy and democracy's on the ballot, democracy's on stake. are coronating this woman, and then by proxy, whoever she picked as her running mate, because barring some absolutely insane events at the convention, which I think are highly unlikely to happen, because they basically have been testing Kamala to see how she would fare as a candidate if she entered and then immediately just cratered in popularity and the numbers were abysmal. I guarantee that the delegates would be like, we're not voting for Kamala, and this would have been a different story. But I think that they think they have a decent enough chance with her that the delegates are just going to pick for us. So like I was saying, this party that loves to virtue signal about how democracy is the same party that is just anointing this person. The delegates are. And the Democrats already have a really, really shady system of super delegates. Go look at what happened to Bernie Sanders if you need any reminder on how super delegates are in themselves anti-democratic and don't represent the will of the people. They're basically there to put their thumb on the scale if the party elites don't like whoever the voters are, picking, basically. And that's when there were threats and rumors that the superdelegates were just going to, even though, Bernie was getting more votes, that the superdelegates were all just going to go to Hillary anyways, and their votes count more than regular delegates. Again, if you haven't heard something more anti-democratic, I don't know what to tell you from the party that, again, is just not shutting the fuck up about democracy being at stake. That's their favorite thing to say. And it's just the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard in my life from this party, who I've come to know over the last approaching a decade, is one of the most corrupt anti-democratic parties. I mean, we only got two main parties in this country, but is just as corrupt, if not more, because the RNC process doesn't have super delegates. So if not more anti-democratic in that way than the Republicans. I don't want to hear shit from these people talking about how you need to vote for us because democracy's on the ballot, when they're some of the most anti-democratic people I've ever seen. And they will, in the back room, they'll just decide that you will have Kamala and Tim Walz and you will like it. Shut the fuck up. Democracy's on the ballot. Don't you remember? And you're just supposed to switch your brain off and be like, yes, you're right. I will vote for blue team, and just go to the polls and vote for them, even though they're promising you nothing. She hasn't done a damn interview, and it's been, I think, approaching a month that she's been the, assumed nominee now. Again, she hasn't gotten any delegates technically because we haven't been to the DNC, but let's be honest, now that it's gotten closer and like all of these polls, even if it might be a honeymoon period or showing her up and, she's doing well, I think the party elite are like, all right, we can keep her, and therefore the delegates will fall in line. And so you're just supposed to be like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I will vote for these two, unelected nominees. We had no say in this process, but yes, I will totally vote for them. I'm supposed to be excited. Therefore, I am excited. The giveaways and celebratory atmosphere are a tactic Democrats and independent groups supporting them have been using this year to recruit volunteers and interest disaffected voters in the coming elections. I don't know. Here's a thought. For these disaffected voters, maybe instead of celebrities and free manicures and parties, maybe you just promise them some healthcare reform. Maybe raise the federal minimum wage, since it's still $7.25 an hour, and the last person who raised the federal minimum wage was George W. fucking Bush. I don't know. Maybe stop saber rattling with people around the world and getting us into all these needless wars. maybe invest some actual money into infrastructure without it just being a giant giveaway to the richest people in this country. I don't know. Promise them something other than a free manicure. And maybe that's a winning strategy to regaining the support of disaffected voters. What a fucking concept. Just, God, this makes me insane. Outside organizations have been experimenting with dance parties, concerts, free beer. No. I haven't gotten this far in the article. There's no fucking way this is true. Free beer and birth control giveaways to engage voters. Are you fucking kidding me? Here's some free birth control. Don't you want to vote for me? Are you goddamn joking? This is a parody. We live in a simulation. I refuse to believe that this is real. This is just so beyond ridiculous. I refuse to believe this is even real. Sorry, that sentence like flashbanged me all of a sudden. I'm like, I gotta focus again. Dempalooza will take place alongside the regularly scheduled meetings of 33 Democratic Party caucuses and councils, events that are expected to draw elected speakers, Senators Bernie Sanders, because he's a good little boy now, part of the blue team through and through. I'm sorry that I tried to reform anything. I'm sorry. Please don't put my wife in jail. Kirsten Gillibrand, Edward J. Markey are scheduled to address different groups at the convention center, along with the governors of Maryland, New Mexico, and Massachusetts. Representative Maxwell Frost, the youngest member of Congress, will stop by, along with Maryland Democratic Senate candidate Angela Brooks. Hi, I'm Angela, but I'm also Brooks, among others. Unlike the arena events, which are open to only those with credentials, the off-site events are free and open to the public from 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. Please go there instead. We don't want any protests. Not that the protesters were going to be there. I don't want to read any more about this. A DNC news release says attendees will be able to get a, quote, Kamala Harris manicure, but does not describe what a Kamala Harris manicure entails. You know, don't they give you nail files in jail? Maybe that's what it is. You know, all you get is you get a nail file thrown and then you get locked in a cage. And that's what a Kamala Harris manicure is. Kamala Harris manicure is scrounging things in the prison yard that can be used to make paint and then painting your nails that way. This is fucking such a joke, dude. Oh my God. And then speaking of protests, judge rules disputed protest route will stay in place during Chicago's DNC. Essentially, the protesters, you have to have a permit to protest. I always thought that was a little odd. I understand the logistics of it, but that's a very slippery slope that, you know, please may I apply for a permit to exercise my First Amendment, please? And a judge basically gave them a route, and the protesters are arguing that it's super windy and that it's basically designed to keep them as away from the convention center as possible and make it as short and clusterfuck as possible. So they tried to counter and say that we should be able to be as close to the convention as possible to really make our voices heard. I don't know, the entire point of a protest. And the judge basically ruled against them and said, nope, this little convoluted route that you have is totally fine. Pound sand, deal with it. And so I hope that they can still make it work. I really hope, you know, we can't count on the mainstream media to actually cover the protests. They'll probably just say small protests, you know, erupt outside of the DNC. There could be like 1 million people and they'd still be like, oh, small protests outside. But I really hope that they can still make their voices heard because, you know, there's a lot to protest this corporate party about, especially the, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of protests. I mean, here, chair of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, I'm sure there's going to be plenty protesting our just vehement support for Israel, no matter what atrocities they commit. Rightfully so. They should be protested for that. But I hope that there's other protests as well, for, everything under the sun that I've already said, like championing democracy, quote unquote, while being one of the more anti-democratic processes ever. Their virtue signaling, just anything that you can put onto a sign and hold up, the Democratic Party doesn't represent me economically. Anything, I hope there's tons of protests, and drown out this stupid, John Legend, celebrity-filled, just cringe fest that the DNC is going to be. But I think I'm going to go to the gym, so I'm going to hop on a little bit later and do the rest of my stories. But I just wanted to come talk about how disgusting this Democratic National Convention is about to be in just a few days, and express my disbelief at some of the things that I was reading on some of these articles, and, see if anyone else agrees with how absolutely disgusting these plans are, and that they're trying to win people over purely with just celebrity and, free manicures. So I hope everyone enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in.